Star Wars is about to do the coolest thing it has ever done.
Oh my god.
That's not cap, it's not a joke, it's not hyperbole, it's doing the coolest thing it's ever done. I'm talking cooler than the battle on Mustafar. I'm talking cooler than Luke, I am your father. I'm talking cooler than young Luke Skywalker coming back and whooping ass on all of those sweet droids in Mandalorian Season 2. And I'm definitely talking cooler than Cyril actually becoming the Simp Lord. I'm being 100% serious here. I think what is rumored to be happening in the Star Wars Ahsoka show may well be the coolest thing Star Wars has ever done. This may well inject Star Wars with a bunch of freshness that it desperately needs while also carrying on the legacy of George Lucas and what he was trying to establish with the mythic storytelling, the hero's journey type stuff that is in Star Wars. This has to do with Ezra and Thrawn, Night Sisters, magic, and the craziness of the unknown and the destiny of one Ahsoka Tano. So sit back, snort a lizard into your brain, smash a like, and let's get into this. And I should say a slight spoiler warning: if you don't want to know anything about Ahsoka, then you really f***ed up clicking on this video. But I guess obligatory warning, get out of here. This information is coming from Bespin Bulletin and Making Star Wars. They've both been sharing little bits of information over the past couple of months about what they are hearing about the Ahsoka show. You can go check out both of their websites and all of the leaks extensively if we stir further curiosity in you from this video. However, the general gist of the story for Ahsoka harkens back to what happens at the end of Star Wars Rebels, when of course Ezra Bridger, in a really weird, unpredictable, crazy way, teleports Thrawn and all of Thrawn's soldiers with space whales away from Lothal. And on a little side note on this, I love how the idea was so random and ridiculous that Thrawn could not anticipate it. I mean, Thrawn is sort of like Sherlock Holmes. He's very logical and can basically see anything coming, except when those plans are coming from a person like Ezra Bridger, who literally flies by the seat of their pants and has weird cannon-breaking power. But the important part is that fans were always wondering since the end of Rebels, where did Ezra go? Where did Thrawn go? And fans were especially curious about that question because at the very end of Rebels, there's this epilogue where you see Ahsoka going to pick up Sabine, and seemingly the two of them are going to go find Ezra now. Fast forward to The Mandalorian Season 2, where we see live action Ahsoka looking for Grand Admiral Thrawn in that episode, and so many of us were like, wow, that story is being carried over into The Mandalorian and will likely be carried over into the Ahsoka show. But I don't think any fans would have expected the actual answer to that question to be as crazy as it is turning out to be. According to this new series of leaks, Ezra and Thrawn were taken to a new place never before explored in Star Wars canon anywhere, or the expanded universe, or any games, or anywhere. This is a completely new concept, and it is a place known as the New Beyond. This place is said to be an area where the Force is viewed very differently than it is in our own galaxy, and it is also said to be the place where the Night Sisters, who are sorcerers, come from. And it sort of has been implied throughout the different leaks and reports that the New Beyond will be a place where there are magic users, people that can actually tap into the Force to do spells and to alter reality. And so as the story goes, according to the leaks, Ezra and Thrawn were taken to this place, but they've been there for a long time, and apparently they are now separated. Ezra will not be following Thrawn around. Ezra will not be sort of being under Thrawn's command. But interestingly, Ezra has also decided to remain in this new place called the New Beyond. And I should say that not much is currently being said in the different rumors and reports about what's going on with Ezra. We have a lot more information on what's going on with Thrawn, and man, this Thrawn stuff sounds absolutely crazy. So the first thing to sort of know about Thrawn is that in the New Beyond, he's going to be known or portrayed as something as a Night King in space or a Lich King type character. It is said that upon arriving in the New Beyond, Thrawn strikes some kind of an agreement with a group of Night Sisters or Dark Force magic users. And somehow, via this dark magic, Thrawn now has a bunch of zombies or undead Night Brothers or perhaps even Night Sisters. While it's not crystal clear on what this army actually is, again, this word Lich, this word undead are being used, and it seems like Thrawn has some kind of corrupted evil force. Thrawn will apparently have his big ship known as the Chimera in the show, and he's planning on using this undead army to invade the galaxy. On top of that, Thrawn also has a corrupted turned Jedi known as Balin, and that character will serve him and be something similar to Joruus C'baoth from the Heir to the Empire series. This Jedi Balin apparently has an apprentice known as Shin, who is essentially a version of Asajj Ventress, and that character will be out in the known galaxy trying to hunt down Ahsoka. And this is because Thrawn wants to eliminate Ahsoka and be able to take over the galaxy. So Thrawn, being portrayed as a crazy Lich King in space, will have a dark Jedi, a corrupted evil Jedi working for him, with an apprentice that is also a Night Sister. Thrawn will have made a deal with Dark Force magic users within the New Beyond, and they will give him a massive undead army. And Thrawn, with his undead army and corrupted Jedi, are going to now attempt to take over the gosh dang galaxy. And apparently Thrawn and this undead army and this dark corrupted Jedi are going to serve as a threat in the Skeleton Crew show and in future shows, and possibly even in movies. It's also important to note that there's no mention of anything like the Vong or the Grisk coming in and being this crazy threat that would perhaps make Thrawn join up with the heroes. It seems like Thrawn is really being set up to be the big bad of this show and of many other shows for Star Wars, potentially even movies. They want to make Thrawn this massive new threat. And I just gotta say, I think this is absolutely perfect. I think this is precisely what Star Wars needs, and I want to explain why. Any good fantasy story, and that is what Star Wars is, it's a fantasy story, it needs an incredibly good and dark villain. Now, Vader is, of course, this paragon of evil, this crazy just force of nature throughout a lot of the different films. But as the mythology of Star Wars evolves, you come to realize that it's really Palpatine that represents that Lich Lord, that evil king, that demonic force, this massive, unbeatable evil force that all comes from a singular evil person is a big time trope in fantasy, and it's something that's sort of been missing from Star Wars. I mean, the First Order and Snoke are just kind of incredibly vague, and then they end up just being tools of Palpatine anyways. It's like Disney just wanted to bring Palpatine back kind of at the very end to establish that oppressive darkness, that fear of that darkness, because even they realize that's kind of a key ingredient to the hope that you want to portray with Star Wars. And I love the idea of Thrawn becoming the new Palpatine, becoming that new grand evil force. But the thing I love even more is that it's very different than Heir to the Empire, and I love Heir to the Empire, and I think Zahn did an incredible job with those stories. But I love the boldness of Dave Filoni saying, no, I'm going to take Thrawn and I am going to make him this big evil threat, but I'm going to do it with literal magic. I'm going to do it with an undead army, and I'm going to change Thrawn from this brilliant minded commander into this Lich Lord of the dark side. And that is just such a compelling idea, and it's already sort of teased in the Star Wars Rebels show, because Thrawn becomes more and more unhinged towards the end of that show, and understanding the power of Palpatine at the very end, I think, is something really significant. But there's also the moments where Thrawn directly interacts with the Bendu, and his curiosities of the Jedi and the Force in general are emphasized a lot in what Dave Filoni was doing before the Ahsoka show. On top of that, the character of Ezra Bridger has a real dark side to him as well. He's a student of malls in a lot of ways, and he's able to open up Sith temple doors and get into the world between worlds on his own. And even though Thrawn and Ezra are not going to be together in the Ahsoka show, it's safe to assume they had a lot of time interacting when they were either first dropped into the New Beyond or for some time when they arrived. And if we know anything about Ezra, he is pretty curious, and he will hang around even villainous characters to learn more about the Force or to just satiate his curiosities about the galaxy. So I even wonder if they're going to run into this other Jedi, this Balin character, and at that time Ezra will still be with Thrawn, and perhaps as Thrawn goes to consolidate power, Ezra sees the danger and the dark side at play, and this is when he decides to leave. It's even possible that Ezra is still hanging out in the New Beyond, trying to sabotage Thrawn, trying to prevent this crazy thing that could actually take over the galaxy. It feels right from a thematic perspective, but it also feels really bold, as this is a new, interesting way to take the Thrawn character. And on top of that, a character like Ahsoka, who has such close ties to the Skywalker family, but also has her own interesting journey with the dark side, the light side, the Jedi Order, and her own interpretations of the Force. That character is a perfect lensing to go into a new place, to look at the Force through a new lens. It is just brilliant. I personally think Dave Filoni has something really special cooked up that's going to just snap for all these Star Wars fans and make them all stand at attention and check out what kind of a story he is telling over in this corner of Star Wars. And I think it could be so good, so fresh, so compelling that you see so many Star Wars fans just being very curious and interested in this story, in this concept, and even in a world where maybe the next couple Star Wars movies or maybe some random other Star Wars shows might be considered divisive, might not land to all the general audiences. I think a show like Ahsoka with Dave Filoni at the helm has a chance to show other creators of Star Wars, the executives at Disney, and everybody else that this is what Star Wars should be. And if that happens, you could see Lucasfilm just sort of go all in on this Filoniverse idea, all in on this Thrawn idea, putting this in movies, doing it across multiple different shows, and then even carrying the spirit of this boldness into whatever they decide to do next. And I mean, it is Disney and it is Disney Star Wars, so I'm trying not to get way too excited and then, be let down, but I do see a real opportunity here for this to be something incredibly cool and fresh for Star Wars, and I think it could really help right the ship and get a ton of more people just excited about something that is Star Wars. But those are just my thoughts and ideas. I want to know what you think in the comment section below. Smash a like on this video if you liked it, and make sure to subscribe to this channel and our live streaming channel. We give out dope nerdy stuff each month to lucky subscribers. And if you want to watch another of our videos, why not check out this new one I just did about all the craziness going on with the MCU's Phase 5.